Well, hey fans, welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Spoilers, and today we're talking spoilers for Eternals. Now, Eternals seems to be a mixed bag amongst the critics. It is Marvel's first rotten movie, which is surprising considering how many rotten movies DC has, and just people are all upset about it. And I think that stems from the fact that this this movie's fine. It's not really great, and I'll get into more details when I go over the plot. I think on the blog in my official review, I gave it a 7 out of 10, which is decent. I mean, you can go into this film and you can enjoy it, but it is not Marvel's best film ever, and nor is it the best superhero film ever. And just to start, so the Eternals were sent to Earth 5,000 years ago to help with the advancement of humankind. The Celestials, mainly the Prime Celestial Erisham the Judge, takes them from I think it's called like the World Engine or something like that. World Forge is what it's called. Sends them to a planet to protect the intelligent life from the Deviants, who he also created as like his first version of Eternals, but they started killing intelligent life. But sends them, they protect intelligent life from these Deviants, give them a little bit of technology, they grow, and then they move on to the next planet. Now, this whole twist in this movie is that every planet with intelligent life is actually basically an egg for a new celestial to be born, and Earth is the egg for Tiamat. So the Celestials decide, hey, we should save Earth instead. And there's a lot more nuance to it. But my main issue with this film was the story. The story was lacking. And the film could have been twice as better if they had cut the entire storyline with the Deviants. Now, so the Deviants, like I mentioned before, are like the original Eternals. They were sent to protect natural life, but the Celestials gave them the ability to evolve. So they evolved to hunt the intelligent life there. But in this film, when the Eternals get to Earth, they kill basically every deviant to protect the humans. And then Icarus takes Ajax to like Alaska and says, hey, here's some more deviants. They were apparently frozen in the ice, and global warming has freed them. So, spoiler alert, he turns on her, and more into that later, throws her down there with the deviants, and they kill her. And the main leader of that group of deviants, he absorbs her power. And in doing so, he becomes more intelligent, and he shares that power with the other deviants, and they change form into other animals, which I don't understand even why. But also, in absorbing her power, he gained Ajax's healing ability and her memories and potentially some other stuff. So he starts to go after the other Eternals to get their power. Now, I think you could have cut the entire plot line and just made it with the deviants in the present day and just made Icarus the bad guy and just blaming it that there must be more deviants. But without that, then you would not have cannon fodder to fight. And I get that. But if they still wanted to use the deviants, yes, global warming could have caused deviants to escape the ice and attack humans, but you don't need the whole thing with the one deviant stealing their powers and getting more intelligent, because it went nowhere. And you could have just had, it could have been convenience that, oh, this is happening, I can blame my wrongdoings on them. But, so, that whole plot line goes nowhere. With the Eternals, I like them. I like the actors. They look great, but their powers, for the most part, don't make sense. What they are doesn't really make sense. They're basically advanced robots created to protect human life or intelligent life. Their minds are wiped, except for one, who is Ajax, and then they go to the next planet to do it all over again. I don't know why their minds need wiped. If they're robots, the celestial Arishem should just program them. Hey, this is your job. You protect this life so that it gets smart enough for a celestial to be born. Off to the new planet. If they're robots, that's in their data. That's fine. They don't necessarily need to fit in with these with humans. It's just a weird thing. And also they have like feelings and emotions, and they can have sex. Yes, there's a sex scene in this movie that is totally unnecessary. And it's like, oh, this is Marvel's first sex scene. But why? Why put it in there? It added nothing. They're Cersei and Icarus, they're like barely, like that relationship isn't explored enough, and that sex scene comes out of nowhere. He just basically tells Ajax, I like her. I know you do. You should go tell her. He goes and tell her. Bam. He hits that. She's that easy. And maybe if like she got her memories restored and it turns out they're always destined to fall in love, that would have been a great way to, introduce the romance. But it's like, bam, she's hot. I want that. He gets it. And and that's all I'll have to say about that. But back to their what they are. They each have individual powers. Like Icarus, he can fly. They're all stronger than a normal human, but not like as strong as Hulk or whatever. At least it doesn't seem that way. But Icarus, he can fly. He has laser eyes. Phastos, he can manipulate technology. Druid, he can like control people's minds within a certain radius. Makari, she's super fast. Ajax, she can heal people. Cersei can transmute things. Sprite can make illusions. Kingo can basically shoot Kamehameha waves and spirit guns. Like, and who else am I missing? Athena, she can create weapons out of her Eternal's energy. And Gilgamesh basically just makes gauntlets to punch people. That's it. And that's all of them. And I don't think I forgot any of them. But yeah, their powers don't make sense. And they don't make sense in the aspect that they need to be a team to take down the Deviants, basically. Like, I can't really see them working alone and winning for the most part. Like, there are fights throughout the film, but they basically do need each other. And you have, like, Druid, he can control minds. How can he take down a deviant? They have him shooting, he controls the people to shoot regular guns at these monsters. And apparently regular guns work. I just didn't get that. But I feel like the Celestials should have given more powers to each. I understand, like, each Eternal needs, like, their special power to make them stand out. But giving them all, like, advanced strength and even more advanced speed would have been great. Like, everybody doesn't need super speed, but like Captain America level speed would be great. They don't really. It just seems odd, and they look like Power Rangers in their outfits, and I get that. It's the whole team look. It looks more like the comics. But yeah, didn't really care. Also, more on the Eternal Sprite, for instance. She is a child. Why do Celestials need to make Eternals that look like children? An Eternal that can stay young forever? What purpose does that serve? She spent 5,000 years unable to have sex, like Icarus and Cersei, like, because then that would make people a pedophile. It's sad for her, and I really did feel for her. Like, it's like terrible. But at the end of the film, Cersei uses her newfound power to make her human so she can age normally. Whereas, like, 10 minutes or so before this happens, Phastos says, like, basically that we're batteries for celestial energy. And he creates a watch or like a bracelet or whatever that halts that celestial energy that keeps them young and allows them to share with other people. So instead of making her human, and I don't know what effect this has on her powers, but why not just, hey Phastos, can you make like a bracelet that'll halt my celestial energy so I can continue to age, and then I can take it off, and then I can be a 25-year-old for the rest of eternity. Like, I just didn't get that, and I understand you knew this was going to happen from a mile away, because Marvel cast a kid in this role, and if she didn't die, this person's going to age. So they had to do something with that. Also, at the beginning of the film, and it gets a little weird here, but at the beginning of the film, she is putting up an illusion that makes her look like an adult. So if she really wanted to be with somebody and fall in love, she could have easily just kept up an illusion the entire time, pretending to look like an adult. I think it would have worked out. Or she could have just said she had like some kind of growth problem. There are adults who look like kids. Like it gets a little weird, but yeah, it's she is over 5,000 years, actually over millions of years old when you find out that they just had their memories erased. But there's that. Makari, I love her. I love the actress. She does a great job in the role. My only issue with this character is that she is deaf. Now, I understand the actress is deaf, and you're being inclusive in Hollywood, giving a black deaf actress a job, but Makari being deaf makes no sense, especially if they're advanced robots. Why would a Celestial make a deaf Eternal? Just doesn't make sense. Now, a great way to fix this should have been that she lost her hearing in a battle and Phastos was unable to fix it, and then it makes sense. But she's just always deaf, and it's like, in the comics, I don't think they were created. I think they were like characters who were born. So she was born deaf. That's fine. Still, Phastos should have been able to make a hearing aid, but if she didn't want it, that's not a here nor there. If the Celestials made her deaf, that's just a stupid idea. Stupid, stupid, stupid. Kingo, I love him. He's great. Kumail Nanjiani's just hilarious. His butler is hilarious. The only issue with Kingo is that he's a Bollywood actor, and he's apparently like from the greatest acting dynasty in India. So he was his own father and his own grandfather and his own great grandfather. They all just look alike. But the weird thing is they don't explain. Like his valet is like, oh, when he met me, he thought I was a vampire, which is another nod to Blade, and I'll get back to that later. But if he's was his father and his grandfather, like, did he hire people to play like his wife, or did he hire like some kid to be like, this is my kid, and then paid him off to disappear when he got old enough to play himself? Like, how did that work? Or did he always say, I just had a son, I'm keeping him away from the public eye, and then he retires and his son shows up and they're like, oh, wow, you look just like your dad. It's just they expect you just to believe so much, and just a little more explanation to how he's getting away with it would have been great. But I do feel like with this entire group, you could have cut at least half of the Eternals out, and the film would have still been fine. On to Kit Harington as Dane Whitman, who we all know in the comics is Black Knight. He's barely in this movie. I feel like we should have at least seen him show up in a Disney Plus show before this, even if it was a small cameo there. But in this movie, he's nothing but a cameo and a after credits scene in which he gets the ebony blade. And there's kind of mention of his family in the film where he's like, you know, you need to reconnect with your uncle, and he comes back to us seriously. Well, I reconnected with my uncle. It turns out my family history is a little more confusing. Before he tells her, she gets pulled off into space. But he gets the ebony blade, and he's about to touch it, and you hear an off-screen voice say, you sure you're ready for that, Mr. Whitman? Which nobody knew who that was until Chloé Zhao just revealed in an interview, oh, that was Mahershala Ali's blade. And to me, and this is just me personally, why didn't you show us Blade? That would have made that scene so much better if we got to see our first shot of Mahershala Ali as Blade in the after credit scene. Just hearing his voice did nothing because, honestly, nobody knew whose voice that was. So that was a mistake on their part. In the after credit scene after this, you get to see Pip the Troll and the Eternal Eros. Now, Pip the Troll looks awful. He looks terrible. I don't understand, with Chloé Zhao doing such beautiful natural lighting, practical effects, why they didn't just put Patton Oswalt in like a troll outfit and just kind of like put him on like a blue screen and just make him smaller than everybody else's, because that CGI looks terrible. But Eros appears, and he's apparently an Eternal from Titan, and they list him off as Thanos' brother, which that is a retcon. Like, you're gonna make Thanos an Eternal now, and I get it. In the comics, he was, but it wasn't presented that way in the movie universe, and now it kind of doesn't make sense because if Eros is his brother, why didn't he help fight Thanos? The ones on Earth, sure. We're only supposed to help if deviants are involved, sure. But this guy shows up, and he appears to have already been freed from the Celestials' mind control. So why didn't he help? And if this is his brother, why is his brother purple? A lot of other questions involved with that. So we'll just see more about how that goes. We'll see if Harry Styles does a good job. And by the way, his Eternal's power is that he can control the emotions of people around him within a specific range. So overall, the film was fine. I do think they should have had more connections to the MCU. A main one being Fastos when he was in Hiroshima after the atomic bomb was detonated. That would have been a great time to mention Howard Stark since he was involved in that project. Uh, there's one mention where King was like, Thor used to follow me around when he was a kid, but now he's too busy being an Avenger. It's like, well, when did that happen? Why did he never mention you? There's just so many things in this film that don't quite make sense, and other things that are really great and really funny. But I do think they should have had somebody else look over the script before they went to start shooting things. Um, Anything else? Oh, I forgot. So Cersei, at the end of the movie, she manages to get everybody to team up again, and she turns Tiamat, as he's coming out of the earth, into a giant marble statue. So he was in the core of the earth, and he started breaking out. She turned him into marble. So now the earth should be totally off its axis with this giant, basically, continent that just came up out of the middle of the ocean. And if he's coming from the Earth's core should just be damaged beyond repair. Like, I just don't like. It's not that he's just sticking out of the Earth. His whole body should be marble into the Earth all the way down to the core. So everybody on Earth should be dying soon. I don't know. Just things Marvel should think about when they're like releasing these movies. Like, come on, are these questions? Does nobody in these meetings ask these questions? Feige, are you not asking these questions? Um, but this is going on a little longer than I wanted it to. But those are my overall thoughts on the film, including the spoilers. I probably forgot some things. Um, but that is it for me, guys. Remember, you can view this spoiler review on YouTube and the blog, flipfrogllc.com/flixfrog. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Reddit. And please, pretty please, everybody, hey, come here, listen. Make sure that you subscribe. Yes, subscribe to the YouTube channel, the Facebook page, everything. Make sure you like, comment, and share. The next Let's Talk Spoilers is going to be Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I'm going to try and go back and do the ones I missed out on. Loki, What If, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, all that jazz. But until next time, I'll be seeing you.